Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cult Comics Corner on Tarnished Bronze. And we are going to look at the John Jacobs and Ken Landgraf Lost Tales. Now, this is an issue that is supplied by Jim Rugg and Chris Pitzker. They've went and they've found all of these unpublished Ken Landgraf original art with all of the lettering and some of the stories kind of complete, and a whole bunch of hopefully future stuff to come down the pike. And anyway, you can find this all on Jim Rugg's web store. Highly recommend it. He's got a load of things on there. And so we're confronted with Ken Landgraf art, and two of the three complete stories here have John Jacobs. Now, I think my main history with Ken Landgraf is the New York City Outlaws and some of the things that he's done with Floating World and the Power Comics people. So I'm aware of his stuff sort of in some Bronze Age inking assignments in the majors that I didn't really realize he was such a prolific artist in the underground for so long, and kind of a singular talent, not so much underground as far as content, but just alternative, and he just seems to enjoy doing his own thing. So good for him. Um, Noted also for a lot of rock and roll comics. So there's quite a big history of Pink Floyd miniseries. Once again, excellent work. I think I might have an Alice Cooper one by Ken Landgraf. So very versatile, much more professional than some of his peers in that kind of realm that he's in. Not so sure about John Jacobs, who it seems like from the background interviews is kind of like a bit of a Bob Nunn guy, kind of like very moralistic and sort of similar to the Torch comics. But some of those sort of Easter eggs are in the back of this issue, which I'm not necessarily going to present. We're just going to go through a little bit of the art here. Sadly, we don't get Muffy Brandon Space Explorer. I would have loved to have that issue as a complete sort of tale, but we just get the cover here. Instead, we get Beaver Girl Gives a Damn, which is incredibly bizarre. It's kind of this advanced Atlantis-like humanoid civilization. They go through a calamity and they all have these magnificent powers. And they've survived in the mainstream Earth world by a combination of being pornographers and also being engineers of dams, as their beaver race sort of illustrates. So just, it's absurd. And with this absurdist sort of comic, we get it's drawn though totally straight. It's drawn as though it is a normal DC, Marvel, or First Comics output. Highly rigorous. The world is not surreal at all. It is done perfectly straight by Ken Landgraf. Indeed, even New York City Outlaws, as outlandish as the tale is and the content of the material is, it's played very straight. You may as well be reading a Phantom comic, because the whole gist of this world is grounded in reality. There's no kind of like Kirbyistic exaggerations or cartoonist exaggerations or things like, another absurdist tale in the realm of 8 Ball and Dan Klaus. There's none of that. It's just played very straight, which makes it even more strange in my mind. This whole Ken Landgraf sort of alternative tales verse that we're getting here is just very strange. Once again, the second story here, Cactus Man. This guy, it's equally off-paced. It is equally off-paced. And although this story has a scene where he goes on this vision quest, and the cactus sort of popping out of his arms, he just goes home and has a nice lie down. This sort of desert scape that he's in quickly just goes home. Once again, played very straight. There's no surrealism here. It's just a straight up kind of tale. Ken Landgraf does amazingly well to kind of convey all this stuff. And it just is that incongruity between the material and the subject matter and the art style, which I quite gravitate to. You don't know what's going to happen next. It is very interesting. And once again, this probably has one of the better splash pages in the whole thing. The very last page, maybe that's an owl for reasons that escape me, but it's a beautiful set of drawings. I just don't know where these come from. What is the owl doing on his abdomen? Is it an owl? Is it a vision of an owl? There's coyote men as well, which are in there. Just really, really strange, really, really just well produced, but frankly bizarre. Um, Probably the best narrative sort of tale is The Captives of the Rat-Faced Spider People. Now, this one could really, really fit in an Edgar Rice Burroughs sort of 1930s to 1950s sci-fi. There's an ensemble cast. There's a variety of people going around. One of the heroines has an eye patch. They go into this series of caves. It's actually a kind of a cool tale. But once again, played so straight. The rat-faced people are indeed just people with rat faces. The spider demon is a spider who talks in the center of this lair. It's all very, very strange, very, very pulp sci-fi. Um, like I said, that Edgar Rice Burroughs has a huge influence on this material. And I think this is one that Ken Landgraf did himself. And I would like to go back to this world. This is one that could have been a backup in, say, that old DC series Warlord. Just really, really, really fun comics. So get out there, give it a try. You can get on the Jim Rugg web store and find this. It's really worth it. It's not oversized. It's kind of like a digest of slightly larger than digest size comic, but it is really fun. And you can get your fill of some Ken Landgraf. And if this is successful, maybe we'll have Lost Tales Part 2. So thanks again for enjoying Tarnished Bronze. This is the Cult Comics Corner, and we have been looking at Jacobs and Landgraf Lost Tales. See you in the next one.